It's time for some Jason's Thoughts. Today I wanted to talk about work experience and diversity in that work experience. Whether it be for your own development or if you're looking to hire for your company or organization, I think there's something to be said in this area. So what do I mean? Well, let's say you are looking to hire someone and they come in with a resume and they tell you that they've been in an organization for the last 5 years. Well, that 5 years can be a lot different for a lot of different reasons. And so there's two ways to look at it. And these are the ones that I would like to open your eyes to. Let's say one person comes in with 5 years experience and they have worked at a strong store or strong business or in a strong department. The clientele is fairly easy to deal with. Expendable income, depending on the role, etc., etc. They've always hit their targets. They have a great leader. They've had the same leader for 5 years. All seems okay. Check, check, check. We think, hey, 5 years, they show, great results. The same leadership's been there, so everything has been steady Eddie. But I would say look deeper. The ones, and this is where the diversity comes in, is that, when things are easy, people don't necessarily learn. When things are tough or things are inconsistent and there's lots of changes in the environment, that's where someone gains additional experience beyond the years working in that position or in that title. And so what I mean is, let's say another person comes in, they also have 5 years experience, but maybe they started in a slower location or a more difficult clientele base. And in that location, they had to work harder to close their sales. They actually had to learn to hunt more and refine their sales practices and their sales pitches and their closing techniques. Depending on what kind of position it is, it could be a lot of different ways of looking at that. But when you have things easy, you take it as it is, and it's easy to hit your results. But I think the true hunting comes into play when people are put into spots that are more difficult. So let's say, for a year or 2 years, they're in this location that's slower. They've learned to hunt and close sales a lot better. And then they move them into a busier store with that same, they've had that diversity of what it can be like in tougher situations, and you put them into a place where there's more opportunities. You will quickly find that those people are your top performers because they've had it harder to hit their results and grow. So just some food for thought, because I do believe that there is a lot of diversity. 5 years experience is not the same 5 years of experience. The other perspective I want to talk about is also does come into your own development as well as if you're interviewing to hire someone, is the diversity, not only in where you are in the position or in the environment, store, location, those kind of things. It's also about the leadership that you've had over those 5 years or 10 years or whatever the term may be. I've heard lots of people say that they will only follow, a certain leader. If that leader goes, they go. And, I do understand. I've had amazing leaders over the years. I continue to have great leaders over the years. But if you only experience that leader and that style of leadership, you may only become that kind of leader yourself. You may only have experienced that style and their approach is this way and that way. Maybe they're super soft or maybe they're super aggressive. Depends what floats your boat. But, really, I think the real win is when you get an experience with the leader, you take the things that they do fantastic and well, and the way they communicate, whatever, all those check marks that are really, really strong, that's great. You take that. But then you can also look at their opportunities and also go, okay, well, it's minor in their case, but I still want to check that as something that I can learn. If that's not their strength, then where would you learn that from? And so that's where I think the diversity in multiple leaders is a good thing. I've been in an organization for just over 17 years now. I've had about 12 leaders. I've been in, I think, maybe 5 or 6 roles. So it's not so much about the roles. It's and me changing roles. It's about leaders coming in and getting promoted and going to other places, those kind of things. And I can tell you that if I was to compare my work experience to someone else that has had the same leader and has been in kind of the same job, that I feel I would have an edge because I've gained all of those great experiences from all those great leaders over the years. So it's food for thought, but I think it's really important to be diverse. If you've only had one leader, you don't know if they're good or the bad. Generally the bad, you kind of know it, but even there is learning from the bad as well. If you've had a bad leader, I think we probably all have. These are also defining moments where you can decide and say, hey, you know what? I can see what they're doing wrong. I don't like this about them or the way they approach this. But when I become a leader, I can make sure I don't approach it the same way. So again, experience, not all experiences are created equal. Years are years, but the diversity in those years is what matters and really what can define this person versus this person, whether you're hiring and for yourself. Self-reflection, if you've only had 1 or 2 leaders, I'm not saying get up and go from what you do, but look at that. If you're content and you're happy where you are and you don't have leadership movement, look outbound. Look for podcasts and YouTube videos, those kind of things for other leaders and their guidance, because there can be lots to gain from other perspectives. So that's it for now. Hope you're safe. Take care.